The 5 highest ROI AI visibility moves for med spas. Okay, so today I want to talk about 5 things that med spas, we've been talking a lot about med spas recently. And this is obviously applicable to sort of any business, but in particular, I'm going to be using med spas as the example for this. 5 highest ROI activities they can do in order to improve their visibility inside of places like ChatGPT or AI searches. And it all begins with query fan out layers. You can go and watch our previous video on this. This is super, super important. And there's some great places that we can either get real data or synthesize data in order to produce content for LLMs in order to be found for services that we're offering as a med spa. And I've broke this down into 2 buckets when it comes to query fan out. One is observed fan out, and that's one we'll start with now. And this is where we can actually go into tools like ChatGPT. You can do this with places like Gemini as well, using the API. But specifically for ChatGPT, on the previous video as well, we looked at where we can use a free Chrome extension in order to look for the search model queries that ChatGPT will make based on your particular query. So, for example, best med spa in Central Texas for natural looking Botox. If we input that into ChatGPT, it will not just do that grounded search. It will make additional searches in and around that in order to produce a more holistic answer for the user. And we can actually go in and see that. So we might see that it'll make additional searches around price, maybe different treatments other than just Botox. And we can actually see those additional searches that they're going to make. And that can give us insight into things that we could include in our content for those particular service or service pages or supporting content that we're producing in order to hopefully be found when people are making these searches inside of ChatGPT. And what's great is this is real data. Okay, so I really advise you to go and watch the previous video. I'll walk you through exactly how you can get this Chrome extension installed, how you can use it, and how you can find the actual results. And I think it's really, really interesting. I think these things could potentially change as well over time, especially if like intent changes or particular new services come out and those things. So this is something that's going to be worth doing on a sort of semi-regular basis as well. But it will allow you to, much like you can in like traditional SEO, you might have a page which is ranking and it might be ranking, let's say on page 1 in spot 3 or 4. A great way to optimize that page would be to go into your Google Search Console, go to that page and look for the actual queries that people have searched for, which has surfaced that page. And you may find that there are search terms that people are searching for that you've sort of answered, but haven't like really answered. And actually, if you go back into your content and optimize for that particular search term that you hadn't optimized for previously, then you can gain additional traffic and you'll be focusing on the intent of that keyword more than you were previously, which means Google will rank your page higher. So this is very much that sort of thing based on what we can observe inside of the models.
I would say you want to pay close attention to where you'll have the opportunity to be mentioned in the actual answers and not just another source, because a lot of those searches, like you'll see the source list if you click the source panel at the bottom, but the average user doesn't open that and inspect the sources. So the sweet spot is going to be the ones that the things that are pulled into the actual answer. Those are the things you want to focus on because that's where people when they're doing the research, that's what they see.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so then synthesized fan out. So this is where the possibilities and combinations of what people could be searching for are endless. Inside of ChatGPT, as you know, it's so conversational. There are so many different ways that people can like ask a question in order to find an answer. So what we want to do is to be able to try and synthesize potential prompts that people may use in order to find us as a recommended service product. And for that, we need to do like fan out mapping, which is where we are going to take like a core prompt, like a seed prompt. For example, who is the best med spa for acne stars in Austin? So like we 100% as an Austin med spa would want to be recommended inside of ChatGPT for this query. But there may also be additional queries that people would search for in and around that. And we need to make an educated guess. So we can use tools. In the previous video, I'll show you a tool from Rankability where this will synthesize those. We can just use tools like ChatGPT itself, where we can say, I'd like you to produce a fan out for this given query. Then it's going to be things like best med spa for darker skin tones treatment, which obviously might be a result of acne, or before and after acne scar treatment. And we may want to produce content and pages in and around that as well, because we don't know the specific route that people are going to take in order to be found. And actually, you can see this with us as an agency, for our digital PR agency. Like, people may search for like best digital PR agency in London. And we're not based in London, so we don't appear for that query. They may say best digital PR agency for fast results, let's say, and that's going to produce different recommendations than cheapest digital PR agency. So being able to try and synthesize all the possible combinations that we want to be found for is a great way to then to be able to produce content that's going to have a high ROI. That makes sense?
Yep, totally.
Okay. Create treatment pages that answer fan out queries. So this, again, is just explaining how to use that information, so that granular information that we found from either the synthesized query fanouts or the observable query fanouts, and then produce actual treatment pages that cover and answer in the most like holistic way all of those possible combinations. So most med spa treatment pages are too thin, and actually we've seen this, Nick, when we've been looking over the past few weeks at med spas. There's a lot of weak content pages and some really weirdly formatted ones as well. So I think there's probably a lot of opportunity for med spas to beat their competition in doing this, if they take this sort of approach.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so make sure you're looking at all of the different ways to answer the possible fan out queries that are produced from like a target prompt. Okay, number 4, build a clinician or entity authority. Now, we've discussed this as well in previous videos, and I think this is the way it's going to be moving forward. And I think this is going to be true of a lot of businesses, where we can't rest behind the authority of a given business. We actually need to produce authority for the individuals that are working and operating inside of that business. We've seen this with law firms, especially in ChatGPT, where people are making searches for, I'm looking for best divorce law firm in Austin, Texas. It's not just returning individual law firms, it's recommending individual lawyers from those law firms. We've seen this in previous videos for med spas, when people are searching for, I'm looking for best non-surgical acne treatment. It's not recommending necessarily specifically individual med spas. In fact, it's actually recommending individual doctors that represent those med spas.
Yeah, it did both. It recommended some clinics, it recommended some doctors, but I think for all the clinics, it did look at the doctor. And there was a comment on, this doctor had this certification, this level of experience. So incredibly important for any sort of industry where like skilled labor is at the core of it, right?
Yeah, agreed. So, Nick, how do we go about building that clinician or entity authority for the people representing med spas?
So, first of all, I think it's about, you already have the experience, right? Like, hopefully you've got all the certifications you need. That just needs to be displayed. So we've worked with a lot of health clinics that maybe the staff's not even on the about page, 1 or 2 are. They haven't updated it in 5 years. If they have them, they're just listed on there. You need to have a complete bio on the site. You should have a professional image of the person. You need to have all of their education, all of their experience, all of their credentials listed. And then that should be the same on their LinkedIn profile. All of if they're, depending on what industry you're in, it's different profiles that are important. Whatever industry profiles are important in your space, you should have all of your staff on those platforms with their full profile, all the credentials, all the experience, all the education.
Yeah. And then we can take that a step further as well by having those people appear and be quoted in
Absolutely.
media. You can do more.
Podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. You can do more technical things as well. You can use things like same as schema. If that person has been engaged with the media, maybe they've been able to earn a byline on, I don't know, non-surgical medspaweekly.com, if that's such a thing, a big industry publication. They've got a bylined author page on there. Put that into same as schema on your website. There's lots and lots of ways. And actually, this boils down to just building real authority, like demonstrable authority for the individuals that work at your clinic, not just, oh, X clinic in California is the best med spa in California. Well, unfortunately, that's not how the AI is interpreting and recommended. It wants to know the best doctors, and then it will recommend those alongside the clinics. So super important. Okay, number 5, turn reviews and before afters into AI readable proof. So again, this is something that you looked at, Nick, I think a few videos ago, and how beneficial this can be, and how this is the sorts of things that people are often looking for, like in and around reviews. So if we can structure it in a way that the AI can understand, then it's providing proof that the AIs can interpret and then offer to people. And this can be things like recovery times. This is a big one, like the scar reviews, whether or not stuff takes a long time to heal, how many sessions it took. And you can build these out into real, really good case studies, where you're including all of that, not user-generated content, user perspective content. So it's not just a review on your Google business profile, but you've taken a full case study with, this person was concerned about X, Y, and Z before they engaged in this treatment. This treatment was conducted, it took X amount of time, recovery was this, cost was this, blah, 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 blah. And then this was their experience, this is their thoughts and feelings after, photographs. This is the sort of stuff that AI is definitely going to look at when it's producing the results to share with the people that are making those searches.
Yeah, and it's common sense that you should have these on your own website. I know there are, depending on the procedure, the whatever it is you're doing, there's some HIPAA compliance, right? So anytime you get into medical, it's a bit more complicated. But med spas are a little bit different, and they have a lot of treatments that maybe don't fall under that. The best thing you can do is to get people to share their experience on Instagram and Facebook. So we are about to reveal a 1,000 prompt study we did in the med spa space, or medical clinic space, as it goes a bit broader. And one of the most shocking things that came out of this is that Instagram was the most cited source. And that is mostly people's testimonials, saying, after my consultation at X clinic, I felt confident enough, and they're telling their story. So that is one of the biggest things you can do, because as it's looking for who's reputable in the space, it looks at those review profiles. I don't think you can skip that. It's not going to take a clinic that has, 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah. Let's assume that you've got great review profiles. It's actually going through social profiles and looking for people's case studies or stories of how their experience was with the clinic.
That's crazy. I did not expect that. Nick, you've teased for what is going to be an awesome episode. Okay, so there you have 5 ROI activities that can take your med spa from invisible to visible inside of AI. And yeah, stick around for the next video.